morning. Oh, nope, it's not morning. Good afternoon. Hello, 13th jurors. It's good to see you. I'm so used to saying good morning to y'all that I automatically assumed it's morning, even though it's the middle of the afternoon. Welcome. It's good to see y'all. Take your seats, get your drinks or your, what else do you need to sit down? Your snacks, get your snacks. Before I forget, because I always tend to forget, I'm really bad about forgetting, and I'm sorry for that. Our first in the tailgate today, was 80s Music Man. Congratulations, you get the fancy throne. You finally get to trade in your lovely yellow stool for a lovely red throne. So congratulations. Have a seat, grab your drink, grab your snacks, sit in your throne, and don't move. Second in the tailgate is Sydney Hoff. Congratulations. You get a beautiful yellow stool. Lucy, chill, bro. She's down there playing with her toys, and she's like going to town. She's going crazy. So you, Sydney Hoff, get a beautiful yellow stool, and Candace Hoff, you get a lovely blue bean bag or love sack, depending on what brand you decide to go for. Also, Candace gifted. Oh, Candace gifted a membership, and it went to Sydney. Oh, that's really funny. So Candace Hoff gifted a membership, and it went to Sydney Hoff. Congratulations. I love that. Keeping it all in the family. That's wonderful. So welcome to all of y'all. Welcome. I am not going to do a real long stream today. Oh, I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Because it's Friday. Oh, wait, before I forget. Isn't that cool? Bringing the storm with me. I put it over here because I had it over there, and I've lit it up at night a couple times because it looks kind of cool in my window, but I figured I'd put it right here for a little bit. My storm. So where were we? Okay, so I'm not going to do a really long stream today because it's Friday. I'm exhausted. And we have prep to do for our visit. It's like, you know how like when you're going to have company and your mama makes you clean? That's how I feel like with Mark coming on the show Monday. Like, we got to clean for the company. I've just got some prep to do. So I'm going to be relaxing some this weekend, and then I'm trying to get everything prepped for Sunday night. And I'm so excited. So excited. But because he's coming, and we are wanting to get pumped up as if we're not already pumped up about it. We are going to, after we do our little introduction to the next case that we're doing right now, after we do that, then we are going to rewatch his closing. I am not rewatching the closing arguments of those two prosecutors. You cannot make me do it, especially on a Friday. I am relaxing. I am enjoying myself. I am not going to deal with their BS. So if y'all are wanting to see that again, you're going to have to do it on your own time. They ain't my favorite. So, but Mark is. So we are going to watch his. Oh, and it's incredible. Yes, Tara Ellis, he was not happy with the Law and Crime interview. Number one, I don't think that he felt like she really knew that much about the trial. Number one. Number two, she referred to his attackers as the victims. And it was just, it was not, he just wasn't a fan of it. So, I promised him that we would do better, which wouldn't be hard. Um, let's see. Yes, that was part of it. That was part. Let's see. Yeah, there was a lot of talk on Twitter and stuff um, about that not being a great interview, which is a shame because that was the only one that Travis and Mark were going to be doing. So she had a chance to really get some good questions in there, and then that happened. Um, that is a question that is on my list. From what I hear, Hackshaw is apparently overseas, but we'll find out. I want to know because I have my theories about Hackshaw, so I want to know what his theories are. Let's see. Oh yes, the Law and Crime interview with DJ, and he started doing his song. I saw that, and I was like, I retweeted it actually, and I said, how cool I think it is that people can take that emotion and turn it into something artistic instead of taking it and turning it into something, taking the emotion and turning it into something violent the way that their attackers did. And and look, I get it. Like, not everybody has the same taste in art, so not everybody is going to see that and think, oh my gosh, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. It's not some people's cup of tea. That's totally fine. Some people are into like fancy schmancy art. I couldn't tell you the difference in a Jackson Pollock and a eighth grader's interpretation of a Jackson Pollock. I'm just not one of those. So we all have different taste in art. So some people, I saw on the comments, I know that some people weren't into it. I was personally, because I thought it was really cool. And his ability to put the lyrics together, I mean, it's another form of poetry. It's, so I thought it was really cool. So even if you don't like the delivery of it, it's still, to me, I still loved it. I still thought it was great. And I think that being able to have that creative artistic side is really cool. I actually, I've seen some other videos and some stuff, some songs that he's done and stuff. He's actually really talented. I was talking to their aunt. I've been talking to her throughout this whole trial, and she said that he's always been like that. He's really great with putting putting words, like putting lyrics together and creating stuff. And I'm not that way. It would take, there's no way I could just come up with stuff like that. It would take me like 4 business days to get my first 2 lines. So I thought it was really cool. Yeah, I think that's kind of like the general consensus. Everybody said they wish she wouldn't have cut him off. It was passionate, which I thought was really cool. I would have loved to have been able to hear more, and and he was breaking it down about everything going on in there. One of the other questions that was in the Law and Crime interview of Travis and Mark, she asked if Dominique has a place in his future. I was like, and he was like, no. Like, what kind of question is that? I think that could have been a really great opportunity to, really ask some great questions. And that to me is not a great question. Like, no, he's not going to mess with Dominique. Like, why would anybody in their right mind ever mess with Dominique? All right, let's see. I think that I would be nervous about it, and I probably will get nervous right beforehand. I think that I would be nervous about it if he and I hadn't talked and had a great conversation. Like, he's he's super funny and like down to earth. And I was incredibly nervous when I first got on the phone with him, and I was like literally okay, because let me tell y'all, I responded to his tweet thinking, whatever, he'll ignore me, but shoot my shot, tell him, we would love to have him on. I was fully expecting to get ignored. And then he responded and I was like, wait, what? And he said to call him. So I was like, whatever. I was like, I'm going to call him tomorrow before he has a chance to change his mind. So I called him the next morning because I was late in the evening. I called him the next morning. I looked up the number. I called his office, and whoever answers the phone for his office was like, asking who I was. And I was like, I'm Brandy. I was like, I actually talked to him about coming on my show. And he was like, what's your show? And I was like, it's called 13th Juror. And then it's like, I'm like this little bitty YouTuber, like I'm, only 3 months in, or two, not even 3 months in, like, almost 2 months in, to the streaming thing. And so I was like, okay, he's going to tell him that. And then they'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, he's unavailable. So I was like fully prepared for that. I had not even thought about what I was going to say because I was fully prepared to just get blown off again, or not again, because he didn't blow me off the first time, but I was expected to get blown off. So then, he's like, all right, hold one moment. And he goes to, get him. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, this is Mark. And I was like, Mark who? I didn't even know what to say. And I was so nervous. I was literally on the phone with him, pacing around my condo. And I have a tiny condo. Like my condo is itty bitty. And I was pacing back and forth. And Lucy's just following me. Like, where are we going? Why are we walking in circles? But I was just pacing back and forth on the phone with him because I was so nervous. But then talking to him was so easy. And he's really funny. And it was funny that he was saying some of the stuff that we've said in chat and that I post on Twitter about Dramanique and stuff like that. So it was really funny. I think that if I had not seen that side of him and had such a great talk with him, I would be a lot more nervous, but I will probably be nervous again on Monday. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's see. I think my biggest thing is that I have so much respect for him and admiration for him. And like, I think that he did such a great job. So it's always kind of like one of those things where when you respect somebody so much, you don't want to it's like, you don't want to let your grandma down, like you know how, like when you have like just so much respect for some person, you don't like, it would bother you to let him down. And that's how I feel. I'm like, okay, he hated the Law and Crime interview. And now I'm like, we'll be better. We'll be better than Law and Crime, I promise. I think it'll be good though. I think he'll love our little group. And I can't wait. I think, the questions that we have, I've been getting some in my email and I haven't even read them yet. I'm letting all of them get through until Sunday, and then Sunday I'm going to go through them. Sunday evening I'm going to go through them all. So any of the questions that y'all have, and I've seen some of you saying them on Twitter, but I'm telling you, they will get lost on Twitter. I get so much stuff on Twitter, so they will get lost. So the best way for me to make sure that I see them is to send them to my email, because otherwise I can't guarantee that they will all be in the same spot and that I might miss it. So that is that. So as for and we'll think of more questions too, I'm sure, when we're watching the closing arguments in a little while. Actually, I'm going to say, I was about to move on, but I do want to comment about this, that he was, this is something I said, I don't even know how many times in chat, that if I had somebody who was going to be fighting for me, I would, want my person to advocate for me the way that he advocated for Travis. And he did a fantastic job. And he agrees with our entire chat too about the whole domestic violence thing. When I brought that up when we were on the phone, and I said, how furious I was like, it made me so angry when, when both of them, when Comover and Francine got up there and said something about domestic violence. And I said, the way that she worded it, and I realized that it was his words, which made me even sadder, because he said, that he deserved to get hit because of something. So she's using his own words against him, which I thought was already sad that he would even think that, because nobody deserves to get hit. But that was already sad. But then the way she worded it, she was like, so you're saying that you admit that you deserved it. And I was like, I lost my marbles. I was so angry. Yes, we all loved Heidi. I told him that too. I was like, she was a dang rock star. She was fantastic. I told him the way that, first of all, her opening statements were amazing. And then the way that she handled Dominique on the cross examination, I was like, bam. It's like, she's like my hero. So our chat has been calling them Mighty Heidi and Mark the Shark. So they're a great team. All right. So, oh yeah. She asked if having his shirt off while he was dancing and partying with his family in Florida, if that was symbolic. And I was like, that is symbolic of it being June in Florida. Like, that is symbolic of it is 90 degrees outside. Like, I start sweating the second I walk out my condo door. Like, it's hot here. It's hot. We're in Florida. It's June in Florida. It's hot. That wasn't symbolic of it. He was like, you could tell he didn't know how to answer it. Like, because it's a stupid question, but he's like, well, I took my suit off and whatever. I don't know. It's whatever. Let's see. Yeah, I think that he kind of thought it was like, it's just, it was kind of a stupid question. And I think that he was just like kind of trying to agree with her. It sounded like they were both uncomfortable and just wanted the interview to be over with. So, alrighty. Oh, JT always dropping in with the new emojis. I love it. She said something about that she agreed with it. The way she worded it sounded a little weird, but she did say that she thought it was the right outcome. But then she called his attackers the victims. So, and then asked if he had a message to Sebastian's family. That one kind of pissed me off too. Like, I feel terrible for Sebastian's family because, they're not responsible for his stupid actions, but that's a horrible. The thing is, Travis isn't like, oh yeah, I killed him. That's awesome. This is, something that this is a night he will have to live with for the rest of his life. This isn't like something that he's excited that he got to do, like, or that he's, proud of, or that he, like, this was something that he did to have to, protect himself and his brother and, and his mom, and like save, to save them. And so to ask him to say something to Sebastian's family, like, okay, flip the tables. Let's say, that you are like attacked in an alley, and, then they're asking you like, well, now he's locked up forever and they'll never see him again. Well, do you have a message for his family? That's kind of the equivalent of that. So, I thought that was a horrible question. And if I were an interviewer, it would not have been one that I ever said. But what do I know? Okay, let's see. But, he handled it gracefully like he does everything else. And he said, that he feels bad, or he, actions have consequences, but he does pray for the family. So I was kind of really annoyed that she asked that question. Let's see. When her hair, the one that Phil did where her hair got caught in her eye, I think it was in her eyelashes. Somebody said it was eyelashes. So every time she would blink, her hair would move. Is that the one you're talking about? Phil posted that. That was really funny. Let's see. I have not seen any statements from any of them. But also, when I started tagging her on stuff, she deleted her Twitter. So I don't know if she has. I don't guess I'm her favorite. All right. So let's get our little history lesson going. All right. So the trial that we're doing, I saw in the court papers, there were a couple news outlets that were saying, or I think there was one, actually. I say a couple. I think there was only one that I saw, but I think I saw two different articles from that one that are saying that this trial was pushed to the 19th, but the court papers that I pulled still say 12th. So as of now, I will pull it again at the end of today to double check. But as of now, it still says that this one's going to start Monday. So what we're going to do is we are going to start our morning off with Mark, and we are going to have him for as long as he wants to hang around. Once we finish with him, then we will start. If we've missed some or whatever, we'll just play it on 1.25 to get caught up for the opening statements, and then we can like skip breaks and stuff for them, so that we can get caught up. We won't miss much. We won't be far behind. It won't take us long to get caught up. So that's the plan as of right now. This jury selection has been going on for quite a while. It is a death penalty case, which is why it's been going on for quite a while. Now, this one's here in Florida. So here's the reason that this is kind of a big deal. The Florida law has recently changed. So where you used to have 12 jurors vote for death penalty, the law has changed to where now you only have to have 8 jurors vote for death penalty. So the death penalty juror process is also a lot more tedious than just a regular jury process, because basically, as they're going through this, they're weeding out people who don't believe in death penalty for, religious reasons or whatever reason you have, things that prevent you from being able to vote yes on that. So keep in mind that means that all of the jurors are basically already people who believe in death penalty. So that's already kind of strike one, against him when it comes to that part. So then now you no longer have to have 12, you only have to have 8. So there could be 4 people who vote no death penalty, but if the other 8 still vote for it, then then that can be it. I agree. And I think if you already have to be okay with saying yes, that you agree with death penalty, then I think you should have 12 people who agree with death penalty, who all agree that this is a case to have it in. That's my opinion, but I don't make laws. Florida didn't ask me my input. So it's rough. It's a little, I mean, it's scary. And, another thing, he was 19 years old when this happened. 19. My kid is 19. So I think about that and I'm like, man, like, to have, death penalty on the table for something that you did when you're 19, not that it was okay. And we're going to get into some of his, like, he's got a past and he's definitely got problems, with, mental health and aggression and, or I won't say aggression, impulse control. But I don't know. Death penalty is a huge deal to me. I think it's such a big deal. I think that would be that. I don't know. That one's just hard. That one's still hard for me. Let's see. Yeah, the Parkland shooter. But see, but the thing is, that crime is, I'm not saying that killing one is better than killing the other. In this case, he allegedly killed two people, two of his best friends, actually. With Parkland shooter, it was a bunch, and it was kids, and it was, faculty. And so, I get it. I don't know. That one's definitely so hard for me, y'all. It really is. It's something that's really hard for me to even like some of the criminals I hate the most. It's still hard for me to think, oh, yep, they deserve death. And I know that the death penalty is for the crime, not the person. So this is something that you have to differentiate between, which, like, okay, if you look at Parkland shooter, I could see, if you're looking at the crime, I could see that being more of a death penalty than like something like that, something like this, like some of the other ones I've seen death penalty on. So I don't know. It's just, death penalty is really hard because it's one of those things that my opinions on it evolve over time. I don't feel very, very strongly one way or the other. Because I've always kind of been open to it, I guess. Like, because I've always had, thoughts like, well, I think that in some situations, yeah, you should. But then it's like, then I try to think about those situations and I'm like, it's hard for me. So I don't know. Death penalty cases are always really hard. I think that if I were on a jury, I don't know that I would ever be able to vote yes, death penalty. I don't think I could ever do it. I know that I couldn't do it, actually. I know I couldn't. But I don't know. Maybe over time I'll have more of a firm stance one way or the other, but right now I just struggle with it. Alrighty, so let's get it started. Can you all see? That's a little bit bigger if I do it like that. All right, so this is our next trial. So this is, he was 19 at the time. Oh, you know what? Letitia would be one of the ones that I could look at too and think about the links that she went to cover it up and stuff. And it would be easier for me to lean that way. I still, if I was a juror, I still couldn't do it, but I can see that. There are, like I said, there are certain cases that I lean more one way or the other. Okay. So this young fella is currently on trial, or well, about to be on trial. They just finished jury selection. He is his for real life name is, oh yes, Alyssa, this is a huge thing. This is something I say all the time. There are so many wrongful convictions and so many people on death row for wrongful convictions. And I think that death penalty should never be on like an option if it's a circumstantial case. I think if it's circumstantial evidence, then it should never be on the table, period. But because juries don't always get it right when we're going through the process, juries don't always get it right, unfortunately. And I think if it's a circumstantial case, I don't think death penalty should be an option. But what do I know? Like I said, they don't ask me to make the laws. Come here. Lucy's whining. She wants to come say hi. Say hi, Lucy girl. Say hi to the people. Say hi. Say hi. She's so cute, isn't she? All right. Here, lay down. All right. So his name is Jamel Demons, and that is his actual real life last name. He was born here in Florida. His mom was only 14 when she had him. He does not know who his dad is. I don't know if the mom knows and never told or what, but he doesn't know who his dad is. He had his mom when he was or his mom had him when she was 14. They moved around a lot. He met when he was in kindergarten, one of his besties, who is YN, and I'm not going to keep saying the YNW because that just gets repetitive, because all four of the people who we're talking about in this are all in the same YNW group. Like that's like their group of, lifelong like friends, and they make music together and all of that. So they all have that in front of their name. I'm not going to keep repeating that because it doesn't roll off the tongue. This isn't like, VIP. This is like like YNW. Anyway, so he has I don't know if you can see it in this picture. He has juvie. See right here. And I don't think you can see it. So the two guys who were shot, the two victims are his two best friends, and their names are tattooed on his face. Their names have been tattooed on his face since before they were killed, though. This is like they were still alive when this happened. Which, I mean, to each their own. I'm not going to get anybody's name tattooed on my face. But if I did, I don't know that it would be someone who's still alive, because they still have time to piss you off. So, but I mean, that's just me. What do I know? But anyway, so that's him. Let me see. Okay. Oh yeah. The other one, I was going to see if you could see a picture of his other tattoo, the other guy's name. Let's see. Let's see if I can find one. Oh, yep. Here we go. Hello, welcome, welcome. You picked a great day to become a member. You get to be a member with us. Congratulations. Take your seat. It's so exciting. Okay, this is, if you can see it, that's his friend, the other one that died in the car, Sack Chaser, which is drug references. He's chasing sacks. So he has Sack Chaser's name tattooed on his forehead over here, and he has Juvie's name tattooed. So Sack Chaser's right here, and he has Juvie tattooed right here. So these are the two fellows who were in the car that passed away. So Juvie, the one that's on his eyebrow, they, like I said, they met in kindergarten. So these are lifelong friends. There's an interview. So like he had kind of a, not super stable childhood. They moved around a lot. His mom was really young. So, I cannot imagine having a child when I was 14. Think about, the things that, you're worried about when you're 14, and then, imagine having a kid to take care of during that time. So things were not like a normal, normal, whatever the hell normal is these days, was not a normal childhood. He did an interview that I saw. I've been like watching a ton of videos on him and pulling court papers and stuff. But there's an interview that I saw where he was talking about like how he's just loved guns and been, really infatuated with guns since he was a kid. He said something, I think it was like he found one. I can't remember who he said it belonged to. It may have been like an uncle or something, but he said he found one under a couch. And, in the interview, he was talking about like holding it and how it just, like he felt the power from it. So he's always had a thing for guns. And apparently for other types of violent things. I think it seems to have always been kind of an infatuation with him. When he was in 7th grade, he brought apparently like a really big knife to school. He threatened to kill himself and another girl there at the school. So he didn't do anything, but he brought the knife and he threatened it. So there's obviously some kind of mental stuff going on. He's also always been into music. So in 8th grade, so a year after the night incident, in 8th grade, he recorded his first song. And 8th grade is also when he met Sack Chaser. So Sack Chaser is the one on his forehead up here. So he met Juvie in kindergarten, Sack Chaser in 8th grade. And so these guys that he's accused of killing have literally been, best friends since then. So, so if he did it, that's a huge deal. That's a huge deal. Okay. So, he brought a gun to school when he was 16. He fired it at 3 people. I don't know the background. I've watched a bunch of the interviews. I couldn't find out why. But he fired it at 3 people. He was expelled from school, of course. They charged him with 1 count of discharging a firearm, and then 3 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And he did a year for that. While he was locked up, because, keep in mind, he was only 19 when the murders happened. So he was 16 when this happened. So while he was locked up from that year, from like 16 till he was 17, he was, still really into music and stuff, of course. So he was writing songs while he was locked up. One of the songs that he wrote is called "Murder on My Mind," and it's one of the ones that, which I've heard it before, but it's one of the ones that it was like his biggest hit. So it's like kind of the one that went viral. He was not like a signed artist, and that like had record deals and stuff, that that's how it did. He was found, like, or he was producing music and putting it out and like on SoundCloud and stuff like that. So that song, when they made the video for it and everything, or when he released on SoundCloud and stuff like that, that one was the one that really made people know who he was. And that one was one that he wrote while he was locked up for that charge for firing the gun at whoever it was that he fired the gun at. So when that song came out, because he recorded it when he got out. So when that song came out, it was like early 2017. So, a couple years before the murders. He was actually on parole when it came out. And they ended up violating his parole because of the song, because it's really graphic. I know that's hard to believe, the name like Murder on My Mind, that it's a graphic song. But it's really pretty graphic. So they ended up violating his parole because the lyrics where, it's talking about fantasizing killing someone. So he was arrested again. He did another year in jail. So that was March of 2017 that he was, that it was released. Well, I don't think it was quite a year that he was locked up, but because it was March when the song was released, and then March of the following year, March 2018, when he was released. So he was locked up some point in between there. I don't know when they actually locked him up. So he gets out. At this point, the song has gotten popular, so he's kind of making his way around the, Florida circuit, doing live shows and things like that, making videos, putting them on social media and stuff like that. So he's starting to kind of get like a name for himself. Right after his 18th birthday, he was arrested again. This time it was not for anything violent this time, but he did have possession of weapons of ammunition by a convicted felon. So you're not allowed to do that. And then he also had, I think, marijuana and drug paraphernalia were, I think, the two other charges. So he was locked up again. Then when he got out from that, he shot the video for Murder on My Mind. And okay, so I watched this video because I'd heard the song before. But I watched the video, and it's graphic. Okay, and hold on, I got to pull it up. I wrote down some of the lyrics because some of the lyrics are actually, if he did what he's accused of doing, which we'll go over the evidence in just a second. If he did what he's accused of doing, then it's pretty freaking crazy that he wrote this song 2 years before, and then that happened with his friends. Because okay, let me just read. Let me read. All right, so the video shows him, he's like, it shows it where he's like holding his friend who's dying, and it's like blood and stuff, and he's like holding him in his arms. And so this is the song, like, or these are some of the lyrics. I can't say all the lyrics because it gets real graphic, but this is the part that kind of stands out anyway. So he says, tape around his body, it's an effing homicide. His face is on a t-shirt and his family's traumatized. Okay, this is the part. I didn't even mean to shoot him. He just caught me by surprise. I reloaded my pistol, cocked it back, and shot him twice. His body dropped to the floor, and he got teardrops in his eyes. He grabbed me by my hands and said he was afraid to die. I told him, it's too late, my friend. It's time to say goodbye. And he died inside my arms, blood all on my shirt. And then the chorus starts and says, I wake up in the morning, I got murder on my mind. AK-47s, Mac 11s, Glocks, and 9s. So for him to write the song about his friend dying, and the part where, I didn't even mean to do it. He just caught me by surprise, and then he, shot him again. That part's really, really, remember that part, because now we're going to go over some of the evidence. So that part's, and this song was written 2 years before this happened. Okay, so now that video was recorded in March of 2018. So now fast forward to October of 2018, and that's when the shooting is. It's October 26th of 2018. Let's see. This is, oh. Not that. Oh, I went too far. Okay, so this is the car, and these are the people that were in the car. So there's some conflicting stories, which is why everything started being kind of suspicious to law enforcement in the beginning. So this car pulls up to the hospital. All three of these are in the car except for him. Now, this is Melly right here. He was not in the car, but he was. Oh, actually, I have another. I keep going the wrong way. Oops. Goodness gracious, I moved too fast. There it is. Okay. So these are their names. So he was not in the car when they pulled up to the hospital. This fella, Bortland, was in the car. He was actually driving. And these are the two victims. He was sitting in the front passenger. He was sitting in the back passenger. And they were shot and did not make it. So when he pulled up, he told them that they were victims of a drive-by shooting. And, he had said that they were the only ones in the car. And by the way, there was one of the videos that I watched by a guy, and it's really good. If y'all want to see more on this, you should watch it. His name is Patrick CC. And so my graphic looks very similar to his. So I don't want to take credit for something that looks similar to somebody else's. This was totally similar to, well, actually it was kind of similar to two of his that I just merged into one. But anyway, Patrick CC is his name. And he had a really good video about all this. Okay. So, when he pulled up, he said that it was a drive-by shooting. He said that the shooting happened right around the corner from the hospital, from where they were at. So the police go and walk. I think they said it was 12 blocks. So the police go and walk. Now they're canvassing the neighborhood, So as they're talking to people, nobody anywhere that they talked to heard gunshots or saw anything happening. Now, in this area, it's pretty, you're not just out in the middle of nowhere. This is, this is a big hospital or whatever. And then there's it's blocks and stuff there's houses, there's, businesses, there's stuff around. This is not in the middle of nowhere. So for nobody to have heard, that many gunshots. I think they said there was 9. Okay. Yeah. There were 9 gunshots total. So 8 were along this area where this is. And then there was number 9 was back here. That's where the gunshots came from. They were all, or that's where the damage was on the car. They were all on this side. So they said it was a drive-by shooting. So the driver, Bortland, is the one who took them to the hospital. He said that all of this happened after they had left the recording studio. So they said that Melly was not with them, that when they left the recording studio, he had left in a different car. So because nobody had heard gunshots, nobody, whatever, as police are investigating this, they asked the recording studio for their camera footage. And lo and behold, their camera footage actually shows Melly getting into the car in this back driver's seat. So that to them was like suspicious. They talked to the guys, like these guys' roommate, like they talked to him because I guess he had been there too at the studio. And originally his story was that that Melly left with him. But I think then when they saw the camera footage saying that, showing that Melly left here, then he changed the story to, oh, well, yeah, he left with them originally, but then I went and met him or picked him up or whatever. And then he went back with me. And then those guys went. So the whole thing was they were trying to show that with both stories that ended up being proven false, they were trying to still keep Melly out of the car. So here's where some of the evidence starts to get tricky. The cell phone records showed that all four of these guys were together. So there was never any, oh, we rode in different cars and then picked him up, whatever. These guys, these four left the studio together. Everywhere they went, they were together until right before they went to the hospital, where it shows Melly's phone separating from them, not far from the hospital. And then he FaceTimed his girlfriend. He told his girlfriend that he was just the victim of a drive-by shooting and asked her to come get him. So he tells his girlfriend that, but they're still telling the police that he was never there. So, or that he wasn't part of the drive-by or whatever. So again, stories from everybody are changing. So once they show that they were all together, then they look at their route. So the route that they said that they took from the studio to where they got shot at and then went to the hospital is like, if you go like if they're at the studio and okay, let's say that Sac Chase River here is the studio and Portland's the hospital, but you can't get there like that. So if they go like down here and around and then back up here, like they got shot around here and then went to the hospital here. So when they pull their cell phone stuff, their cell phone records and show where they're at, that's not even close to the route that they really took. So they're looking and they actually went like way over here to the edge of town. Actually, it wouldn't even be like that. It would be like way over here to the edge of town. So police are now like, okay, nothing's adding up. Everybody's lying to us. Something's going on. So they take a look at the car. Well, in the back passenger or in the back driver's seat, there's a shell casing. It was in a bag that was sitting just like this. This was in the floorboard. This was in the floorboard. This bag was in the floorboard. And there's a shell casing that looks like it had fallen right there. So obviously, if it's a drive-by shooting, the shell casing would not be in the back seat, the back floorboard, because shell casings don't hop into the other side of the car on a drive-by that I've ever seen. So that's not consistent with it being a drive-by. So that's like big evidence thing number one. Thank you, JT. I've been working on this for a while, trying to get everything together and making sure that I knew what the heck I was talking about, because that was my plan for yesterday, and then I got distracted with Mark. So that's the big thing, number one. Then because they've looked at their call records and they've seen, or not call records, but their cell phone location records, and they've seen where they're going and where they went and all that, they see that they did not take the route that they said that they did. So they take a canine. You know, we love our canines because they solve everything. They take a canine out to the area where they said the shooting happened, and they're looking and doesn't find anything. Then they look at the route that they took and they see, okay, well, they went way over to the edge of town, you know, before coming back. So they're like, let's just go look out there. It's like a more rural area. So they go from being like in the city area to being in this area. So they take the canine out there, and lo and behold, there they find some evidence. So now they have two different types of glass that they find on the scene. The two different types of glass, one of them matches the front passenger window. The other matches the back passenger window. And they find, where is it? Let's see. They find 8 shell casings. So now remember, there are 9 shots in the car. One from inside and or one shell casing that was found inside. And now 8 are found in this area that they showed where they went with their phones. So this is like the outskirts of where they went right before they came back to town. So again, that's circumstantial evidence, but it's pretty damning circumstantial evidence, because now they have multiple lies, and now, you know, because of the dogs who always solve the crimes, now we have the 2 matching glass, you know, from the car where the windows were shattered out, and we have the other 8 shell casings. Now the murder weapon was never found. They never found the gun. So they don't have the gun to test, you know, to see if it came out of these or whatever. They don't have the gun, but they have the bullets, all of the shell casings. So now all 9 shell casings match, you know, are found for all 9 bullet holes. Now, right after the murders, he went on. Now, Melly is real active on social media, y'all. Well, he was. He ain't no more. He was real active on social media. He posts a lot, and some of the stuff is not stuff I'd be posting, but what do I know? Oops. Oh, goodness gracious. So he's posting about being so sad that he's lost his brothers, and that, you know, these were his best friends since childhood and all that. So during this point, they're still investigating everything. Well, they take, because none of the stories are matching up, they do that whole, you know, trajectory testing where they do like the string and all of that. And they try to figure out where the bullets were coming from, because obviously this is not looking like a drive-by. Well, between the autopsy report and the trajectory testing, they see that there's nothing about the story that could possibly be true. So the shots that were fired are going in their bodies from left to right, and then from kind of the back, but not straight on from the back. So the way that the autopsy reads, it looks like the first shot was the one, like the kill shot was the first one fired inside the car. And it was like right, just directly to the head. So at least he, you know, more than likely died pretty instantly. But then after I guess it looked like, from what I could understand, the other shots looked like after he kind of like or after like one of them, I don't like kind of fell and slumped over. The way that the trajectory shows is that he was shot again after that. So there were extra shots that were not like after he was already dead that looked like they came from not from a drive-by from this side, but from like, you know, the person sitting next to you. Also, the way that they with the testing and stuff, they said that it had to be the gun had to be between like 3 feet to 3 inches away or something like that, which would be more consistent with somebody sitting in the back seat with you as opposed to somebody driving by. So all of these things are very damning. Also, the cell records show that this is kind of disturbing, actually. Not only did they lie about being in the car and being in the car together, but the cell phone records show that they drove around for, I think it was like, I think it was a couple hours. I'd have to go back and look. But they drove around for a while with these bodies in the car, just driving around. I think the story is that or like the theory is that they were getting their story straight maybe and like trying to figure out, you know, what they were going to do. And but I can't imagine, you know, my best friend from kindergarten and my best friend from 8th grade, you know, riding around town with their dead bodies beside me. I don't, it doesn't compute. I can't imagine. So if he is guilty of this, it's really freaking bad. Okay, so let's see what else. He was all over social media talking about being so sad about everything. He had done on his YouTube. Y'all can look up his YouTube. He was very active on YouTube. But he even like did a documentary about, you know, with him and these guys. And at the end of the documentary, it said, you know, 4 days after filming that they were, you know, victims of a drive-by and stuff. And, you know, he was publicly grieving and saying that, you know, he lost his brothers and he was so sad. All the while they're investigating him and he's, you know, a suspect. So he was arrested for so this is another misconception I saw a lot online. He was arrested in between the time that this happened and the time that he was arrested for the alleged murders. He was arrested in between there again for marijuana. And in the mugshot, he's like got this like really like sinister smile. And so that one on a lot of the articles that I read was the one that was getting passed around because everybody was saying like, you know, how could he smile like this when, you know, he did this, which I get it. But just if anybody sees that, that's misinformation that's out there. That is not the mugshot from this arrest. So on February 13th, there was a warrant issued and he turned himself in. The driver of the car, Borland, was, he also turned himself in. Okay, so there's some weird stuff that's happened since he's been in jail. So look, I'm not one to judge. However, when I was researching this, there were some things that I found, like some videos, especially. I guess for his birthday, his mom and okay, first of all, let me say, his mom is not like one of those mamas that's like at home baking cookies and stuff. Like his mom is like in one of his videos, like holding a big gun, and she's got her own social media stuff out there where she's, you know, she ain't the typical, like, you know, this is not like Beaver Cleaver's mom or nothing, you know, like she's which is fine. But something that I thought was something I've never heard of before. She, for his birthday, had a stripper party outside of his jail cell, so that he could see out the window. And the video, it looks like they're like in a parking deck or something, and the young ladies are dancing, and there's money flying everywhere, and there's movements, lots of them. Look, I love my kid. I ain't never thrown him a stripper party. It just ain't gonna happen. If you're in jail, eat your peanut butter and jelly and call me on the weekends, but I'm not throwing you a stripper party outside in a parking lot. I'll say this about the young ladies dancing. They had athletic talent. I'd break a hip if I tried some of those moves, but again, to each their own. She threw him a huge stripper party in the parking lot. So that gets, and there's videos everywhere. Those videos get spread all around, and the families of the two victims see this, and they see the money flying, and they see people taking shots, and they see, all of this stuff happening. And then they file a lawsuit against Melly and his mom and his manager for like millions of dollars. I have not had time to see if that's still in effect or if that's what's happened with that, but I saw where it was filed. I have not had a chance to go into the details of that yet, because I've been working on the criminal case, not the civil case. But yeah. So there's also a video of the mama, and this is where a potential motive comes in. There's also a video of the mama out there where they said that she's talking about Sack Chaser, which if we'll remember, Sack Chaser's up here tattooed on his head. If I remember right, she's talking to Sack Chaser about how he threatened her with a gun. And she's saying, you can't threaten me with a gun. I have bigger guns. So from what I could see, that was the only potential motive that I could find. But even that is not a proven fact. So I'm not really sure. Y'all, the stripper stuff was something I'd never seen before. I mean, I've heard of moms doing things for their kids when, they were locked up and stuff, but throwing the stripper party, that was a new one for me. But whatever. This is Broward County. This is here in Florida, Broward County. So it's near Fort Lauderdale. While he's in jail too, he was able to have social media for a while. And there were a couple times where he said that he was being treated terribly, that he had some of the guards who were awful to him. He ended up getting COVID while he was there. He had an abscess on his tooth, which he's got the diamond teeth or whatever. He ended up getting an abscess on his tooth, and they wouldn't let him have any kind of regular toothbrush or floss or anything like that, because they said that it can be used as a weapon. He couldn't get treatment for any of that stuff. I guess it's what he was saying. He was asking everybody to, putting it on social media and stuff, asking everybody to make a big deal about it and, bring attention to it to help him out. Also, I have not had a chance to dig into this yet because I was focusing on all this stuff for this because this is the trial that we're doing. But Bortland, the driver, they separated the trials. It's two separate trials. But I read that he was released on house arrest, which is shocking. But I haven't had a chance to look into that. So I'm going to dig into that at some point, because I want to know more about that. If he was released on house arrest, that's actually going to be really surprising. But I heard that, but I'm not really sure. So that has led us all to now. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know how it got started, but this morning, where I had put the thing out about the trial starting Monday, all of a sudden this morning, I guess where I had the tag and stuff in there, like people were finding me on Twitter, and all of a sudden I realized like there are rumors everywhere that he just got released today. And like people were saying that, posting videos of him saying that it was him and he was home, and it wasn't him in the video. It was some other guy who, I guess is also a rapper, but not anybody that I know. I don't know any of the new ones, y'all. I'm old. I know, like, Snoop and Biggie, and like I know the old ones. I don't know any of the young ones. I have to ask my kid all the time who anybody is, because he knows the young people. He's a whippersnapper like them. But whatever video they were posting and sending around saying that it was him, it is not him. Everybody is saying that his mom was, I guess, which mom has been pretty active. I guess she had like a live where she was saying that they're just making everything worse than it really is, and stuff like that. So I haven't seen any of her lives yet. I'm curious to see what she says. But there's so many rumors out there right now, and I don't know if it's because of the trial about to start, or if I don't know what started it, but I started seeing all this stuff. And then I even had people like inboxing me like, "You're wrong. He's not going to trial. They released him on the 7th." And I'm like, I just pulled the court papers and that's not what that says. Let's see. So I think that's about it. The jury selection started in like April, I think. Which is nuts. Let me double check and see if they've put anything else. Yeah, there's nothing else that they've added in yet. I've been checking documents constantly to see. So that's about all I have for that. Yes, Mama was 14 years old when she had him. So I was a young mom too. I mean, I was 20 when I had Jacob. It was about 3 weeks before my 21st birthday. But I couldn't imagine at 14 having that responsibility. Under the eye. Let me find that website again where it had his tattoos that were explained. Because there's a few of them. Let's see what we can find. He's got, the front of his neck has the names Jana and Jamie. Jana is the name of his friend. Anthony's mother, Jana Thompson. Anthony is one of the victims of the 2 murder cases with which. Okay, so that's, I didn't even know this because I didn't pull all of this in my stuff. So he's got the victim's mom's name on his neck too. And the other name is his mother, Jamie. Number 17 is a tribute to the rapper XXXTentacion, who had the same number tattooed on his forehead. The heart tattoo, Melvin tattoo. That's his name. Oh, how could I forget this? So Melvin is his actual name, and he goes by Melly. Well, he has this whole split personality thing. Not really split personality, but like a mixed personality, I think is how he described it. He said that Melly is like loving and fun and like what did he say? What did he, something about he's like Michael Jackson, I think is what he said. And like that everybody loves Melly and Melly loves everybody. But Melvin is the other side of him. So Melvin is like the split personality, or like the kind of alter ego type or whatever. He said that, he only lets him out at night, and he's the one who is more aggressive and that type thing. When he's angry, that's Melvin. So I think his album is even like Melly versus Melvin. When he first met Kanye West, that's why like Kanye West wanted to record with him, because it was a big thing that, they've both been diagnosed bipolar. He's been diagnosed bipolar, and so has Kanye. So it was like a big thing with when he met Kanye, and he was, they had played some of his music for him and stuff, and that's Kanye was saying how much he related to that, and he really wanted to record with him and be on it because he related to it so much. So that is, I guess that's like Kanye and Ye. So that's that. Oh, he's got the broken heart, but then the sack chaser. 90s baby. Okay, so that's what the 90 is. We couldn't see. That's 90s baby. Oh, apparently his arm has never been revealed. So those are all of his other ones. I didn't know that he had the victim's mom's name on his neck too, which is actually a little weird. I mean, I shouldn't judge, but it's not, I won't say weird, different. It's actually a little different. Okay, so I think that is all for that. I think I got in everything. If not, I'll remember. Y'all have been watching so many dang videos trying to get all my information together and looking at all the court papers. So I am sure I probably forgot something, but we'll find out at some point. All right, so that's that. I'm going to close out all of this. Now, our other order of business is just watching Mark once again, because who doesn't want to see Mark? Let's see. Let me stop this screen And downloads, present. Hold on, that quality is really bad. And I didn't know it until I just pulled it up. Let me find a better feed. Un momento, por favor. Library. All right. All right. I think I've got it set up. Y'all ready? Are y'all ready? All right. Let me know if you can hear it when I.
Members of the jury. Hell has no fury like a woman scorned. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Great argument by opposing counsel, but I got to talk to you about the facts of the case, about what the witnesses said, about Detective Vanderlyn and her lack of investigation. I didn't know any better. I was watching an episode of The Sopranos. Just the names changed. Somebody disrespected a mobster's daughter, and they went to go whack him. They go kill him. That's what this case really is. Not just the video that shows you what it shows you. Of course it doesn't lie, but it doesn't show you the whole story. At the moment of truth, you can't see who's in that car and what they're doing or not doing. You'll never know. It's impossible. State can argue all they want. They weren't there. Shameful that you didn't get to see the real evidence in this case. It's a shame that nobody cared. Thank God he had lawyers that cared, that asked questions, wanted to know the truth. 10-minute interview by Detective Vanderlyn. 10 minutes for two people who are key witnesses and never go back to talk to them again. That defies logic. See, the two reasons for that: total incompetence, or she knew if she asked more questions, she'd have a problem. These guys were lying. Her incompetence would show. Either way, it shows. Either way. It's ridiculous. This is not Sherlock Holmes. This is Barney Fife. I'm sorry if I'm using old terms from shows from maybe RFD, but this is crazy. Palm Beach County, one of the most wealthiest counties in America. A 10-minute interview. We'll ask him what happened. And that's fair? That's fair to Mr. Rudolph? Arresting him at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning? With two 10-minute interviews and shell casings and not give a damn about what really happened? Is that fair? How did he get away with that? How? How do you not search the photo? You saw the photos. I'm going to show them to you again. You saw this. You've all been paying attention. We appreciate your sacrifice. We know it's brutal sitting there day after day listening to this. You saw the photographs. You heard the testimony. There's a food truck behind the gas station or the car shop. They don't even know if it's working or open or not. No one even bothered going back to check. Why didn't anyone check? Tons of officers from West Palm. They're at her disposal. She's the producer of this case. If this was a movie, you'd probably walk out in the middle of it or change the channel, but you can't because it's real life. This is what she's giving you. There's not one mention from the state about Vandalin. Of course not. She's an embarrassment to the shield. She shouldn't even be a cop. It's ridiculous, this investigation, and gives you questions that you're going to have for the rest of this case. You'll never know. No one will know what really happened. It's impossible to tell. Why can't you look behind a fence? It takes 3 seconds. Why? Why can't you get a ladder and look on a roof? I had no evidence there. I don't look for anything unless I know it's there. It's the most absurd statement I ever heard. Been doing this a long time. A first-year cop right out of the academy would know you look for things. How do you know it's there if you don't look? She sounded like someone running for office that didn't know what she was talking about with all this, the totality of the circumstances. The investigation begins as soon as the arrest is made. What investigation was done afterwards? Nothing. You asked her everything she did afterwards. Zero. Took her a year and a half to get medical records. Why are they showing you all these photographs? Tyler Robinson's injuries. He told you he did it. There's no question he did it. They're not asking for sympathy, but they're showing you photos. Horrible photos. They could have showed you an anatomical chart, but instead the medical examiner comes in and painstakingly shows you every single wound, every single trajectory, which was right to left, by the way. None was from the back. I even asked him, I turned my back. I said, sir, any shots come from the back? And he finally said no. They're all right to left. Why are they showing you all this? But they don't take a single picture of my client, of Mr. Travis Rudolph, of his brother? What's going on here? The most absurd statement, she needs a warrant. That's ridiculous. You don't need a warrant to take a picture of another human being in public. It's absolutely false. It's a lie, along with many other lies. Can't check a database. The gun expert comes after her. Oh, detectives check the databases all the time. Everything she said was false, just about. It's ridiculous. This is not a shoplifting case. Even if it was, the person accused of shoplifting deserves a fair trial. She did absolutely nothing to give you all an ability to really know what happened. And that's not fair. It's not fair to him. It's not fair to the decedent's family. Most of all, it's not fair to you all. That's not the way we try cases in America. Thank God we have this Constitution where the police are checked. Because some police do a good job. And other police officers, as you've seen in this case, I'm not blaming all the cops. Most of the cops just did what they were told. But this lady was the captain of the show. And she didn't give a damn for whatever reason. Either she wanted to convict him and get a notch on her belt because she's a new cop. Oh, I got a celebrity. I got a former NFL player. I'm not going to give the jury any evidence to show I was wrong. Come on. This isn't Russia. It's not fair. It's not fair to anyone. Most of all, it's not fair to you all because you didn't see. How would it hurt if someone went back even? Even if you buy the excuse, well, I didn't look behind the fence because I had no evidence of guns. She ignored the hand. You don't need a doctor to tell you that. That's common sense, that that hand could have been holding a gun. Why do I have to bring it up? That's her job. The crime scene people told you that they saw that and they said it could have been a gun. The lead detective is either completely stupid or a complete liar, or both. Why didn't she even look at that? Why? I make a big deal over we had to hire an expert. Of course we did. Police don't work for me. I can't call up 50 cops who've been to all these homicide scenes and start telling them to do this, do that, do this, start collecting evidence. I can't get out there and start bringing down the crime scene tape and we talked about this in jury selection, and start looking for evidence that this cop didn't do. That's not my job. I'd get arrested. We'll talk about who should have been arrested in this case. The wrong people are sitting at this table. Dominique Jones, Tyler Robinson, Keyshawn Jones, and Chris Lowe should be sitting there for the death of their friend. They got the wrong person. They got the wrong person because nobody cared. And all they're going to do is show you that tape and play it 1,000 times so you hear the gunshots over and over and over. I heard thousands of gunshots in this case because I heard that tape over and over and over. It's 39. It is what it is. All in complete succession. You have no idea. The state has no idea. I have no idea what Travis Rudolph was facing that day. He didn't start this. Let's talk about the witnesses. I have a stack of notes. This is half of my notes from this trial, from these witnesses. And that's why we have you all there, because your memory is going to be better than mine. But I have stacks of notes on what these people said and the absurdity of their statements. Saw the way they acted, the way they disrespected us, made fun, made believe they didn't understand the questions over and over. And we'll talk about what happened down before Mr. Rudolph started shooting. Their own witnesses, whether you believe them or not, but their own witnesses, Keyshawn Jones didn't say anything about that, but Tyler Robinson did, that Sebastian was fighting. And more importantly, Chris Lowe, I painstakingly went through it with him, that he said that Sebastian was fighting not too far from the car with Darryl Rudolph. I had a reason for asking that because I know what the state was going to argue. There's no reason for this. None of this happened. He's an aggressor. He's a violent murderer. Is that what this evidence shows? Did he come out of his house? He probably should have came out with a gun. Maybe they would have ran away, these tough guys who cased out the place first, but he didn't. That's reasonable. That shows his character. You saw him on the stand. Most mild-mannered person. Shocking. He didn't even get upset when the prosecutors are accusing him of horrible things. He's still mild-mannered. So let's talk about what happened. And let's keep in mind what this case comes down to, like I told you in jury selection. There's no who did it. The question is, can they prove they made the charges? A rubber-stamped vandalism investigation. They didn't give a damn. Didn't question Miss Rudolph. Never did to this day. They could have sent her a subpoena. Didn't care because they didn't want to hear anything contradictory. Didn't ask Darryl Rudolph to come on in and tell the story. You expect those two people to trust the police after they arrest their son and brother with no evidence? They knew what happened. Call a lawyer. Don't go down there unless you make sure everything's on tape. Cops can lie to you. We heard that. Vandalin said that. She has a right to lie to people except about their rights. She can put a tape on, put a tape off. But why in your right mind would you go down there when they falsely arrest your son and your brother without protection to make sure the truth comes out? All they had to do was subpoena him. Oh, I've only done that 10 times in my career. You've done nothing in your career. The 2 or 3 cases you had. In this case, it was abominable. It's horrible. And in jury selection, I was annoying you guys for about an hour and a half asking you the question that every single one of you, there's even interruptions about this. Every single one of you I asked, if you remember, let's go back to jury selection a couple of weeks ago, but I know you won't forget because I was annoying, asking you these questions. What do y'all do if I prove beyond all reasonable doubt, that no question, that my client was acting in self-defense? And everyone said, he's not guilty. Now you see why. Then you see the law and you understand it a little better. It's very confusing. It's a very complicated issue on justifiable use of deadly force. And then I said to you, what if the state proves he definitely was not acting in self-defense? No chance, no way. Beyond all reasonable doubt. Y'all said he'd be guilty. And then every single one of you, I asked the question, what do you do if you can't tell? Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. Maybe he could have been, possibly not. And y'all said he'd be not guilty. Every single one of you. We maintain he was acting in self-defense. He is a hero to his mom and his brother. But there may be some unanswered questions. Why? Because no one searched. No one searched the path. Is his life worth the car drive down the path just to look. Anything thrown out of the car? The next day, they knew there was a gun. They knew it that night, actually. That morning, they heard the guy with the dog, McMichael, Agent McMichael. Thank God for Agent McMichael.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God. Because you wouldn't even know Tyler had a gun because he lied to the police. I'm hurt. I'm injured. I can't do this. It's not what the paramedic said. I'm not saying the guy wasn't injured. Of course he was. He was sitting upright. He had all his faculties about him. He never mentioned to the police he had a gun. Then he goes to the hospital. You think these trained detectives are going to question somebody when they're under anesthesia or medication that they don't know what they're talking about? Of course not. He doesn't even tell the next officer there was a gun. And his two friends lied. That 10-minute interview, which is absurd, never went back again because she didn't want anything to hurt her case. But now the truth's starting to come out. Y'all saw it a little bit. A glimpse of what she did or didn't do. That 10-minute interview, neither one of us had guns. Nobody in our car had guns. That's what they said. Is that true? Is that the evidence in this case? And you heard from Tyler Robinson, who's actually a multi-time perjurer who's never been charged for saying, I didn't remember in a hearing under oath in front of this court. And they give him a free ride for that too. A free ride for lying over and over and over just so they can protect Detective Vanderlyn and win this case. Is that fair? You come into a courtroom and lie over and over and over and over and over, and I don't remember. You come to a deposition and say, I don't really remember, because Vanderlyn tells you, she tells Tyler that she had video, and he thought there was video, so he was afraid to say what happened. A couple months after this happened, he still was under the belief that the video's working. Vanderlyn told him, he said. And in June, when he gave his deposition, he couldn't really remember what happened at the door. And then he comes in here today. A couple days ago, he remembers everything. He had to be arrested to get here last time in November. That's putting pressure on a witness to get him to say what you want him to say, to join our team. That's the power they have. It's scary. You saw the blue line here. You saw most of these cops sticking together. Miss Perlette shows the one cop from West Palm Beach, the picture with the pockets. Miss Perlette walks up to the detective from West Palm Beach and shows him the picture with the guys with the pocket. Is that consistent with a gun? He looks at them. He doesn't want to answer. And he says, yeah, it was. It does look like a gun. I don't know if he had guns or not. I'm not an expert. It's not my job to know that. It's not your job to figure it out. It's their job. Why don't they even ask the questions? 5 months later, she said, I never thought about it until you raised it. They don't care. If they had a lawyer that was asleep at the wheel, you won't even be asked to even consider anything like that. Saw those pictures. These guys came armed. They lied. More importantly, Tyler Robinson, another lie when he comes in here. Until I get his deposition out, his prior statement. Remember that Sebastian was urging you in front of your friends to bring the gun, your gun? Remember that, sir? No, I didn't show him the deposition. Now he's stuck. Prior under oath statement that he testified to. Yeah, well, that did happen. Sebastian was urging me to bring the gun in front of my two friends, Keyshawn and Chris Lowe. They all heard it. They're right there. Why are they lying to the cop? We heard Keyshawn's a smart guy. Going to school, wants to be a doctor or something, go to honors college. He knows what he's got to say. He's not going to say his friends had guns and pointed guns or pulled out a gun. He'll be in prison. Of course he's not going to say that on the 911 call. It's not stupid. They all lied about not having guns. Why are they lying about it? Common sense tell you that 4 guys go to somebody's house at midnight to talk? Are you taking your shirt off, Mr. Robinson? It's hot out. Come on. Lie after lie after lie. It's ridiculous. Detective Vandalin, does that mean anything to you? I don't even know whose black shirt it is, she said. Never even checked the DNA. What do you do if somebody doesn't remember Detective Vandalin, or they come into court and lie and says, that wasn't my gun? Now you'll never even hear that. You'll just find that there's a gun found, but you won't even know who said it was theirs because the person said they can't remember. Take the DNA, check it out. Y'all got your own lab. Why don't you do it? I don't mean to be funny, but DNA in this case means do not ask. Do not ask what the results are of anything in this case. Do not ask questions from anybody. Ask a few basic questions. And that's it. Is that fair? Is that fair? You decide that. Does that give you information? Is there a lack of evidence? Is there a conflict in the evidence? A reasonable doubt can come from the evidence itself, a lack of evidence, or a conflict. Why didn't anyone check the roofs or behind the fence or the path? How hard is that? There's hundreds and hundreds of cops around who can do this. No one asked me to do it. No one asked me to do it. No one asked me to do it. That was every single witness's statement. And Vandalin's excuse was, I had no evidence there'd be a gun. Well, you did. You found out that night there was an extra gun, and you knew it wasn't Dower Rudolph's. Well, something should tip you off there's another gun. Go back to 40th and 30th, and Broadway rather, and go check now that you found the gun. Nobody asked me to do it. She didn't want to know. She didn't want you all to know. She made the arrest, and she wants it to stick. She writes the report, the probable cause. She's the saleswoman who can write whatever she wants and arrest somebody. How scary is that? She can ignore everything she wants and put in whatever she wants and charge somebody with murder. That's scary. 2023, that's the way this thing works in Palm Beach County. But that's not the end of it. Because as she admitted, she has to have probable cause, even if she puts BS in her report. And I'm sorry I used the word BS when I questioned her. It's the first time I've ever done that in my life. So I was so flabbergasted at her testimony that she can come in here and double talk and triple talk and tell you, I need a warrant for this, I need a warrant for that. It's nonsense. It's an excuse to not do your job. It's foolishness. I wouldn't trust that lady if she's giving me a parking ticket. I would double check to make sure she knows what she's doing. My meter was expired. I go check my meter, thinks she's wrong. That lady don't give a damn about anything in this case other than getting a conviction and not letting you see the whole truth. And that's not fair. They can play those videos all they want. I challenge them to play them 1,000 more times. Press the spot shotter another 1,000 times. You can hear those shots over and over and over. You can't see what happened in the final moments when 2 guys pointed a gun. She wasn't there. She doesn't know. I don't know either. But what's reasonable? Why would he lie about a gun? He forgets a gun in his pocket? Tyler forgets a gun in his pocket. Who forgets a gun in your pocket? Why'd you bring a gun? I wanted to be a man. That's what he said. He was riding shotgun. Well, he was riding handgun, but yeah, he was riding shotgun. He wanted to be a man. Is that what a man does? These guys aren't kids. They use the term boys over and over, and that's not fair either. They're not boys. These are men. He forgot he had a gun. Sorry, excuse me.
He does such a good job on this.
I didn't forget he had a phone. Didn't want my phone to break. I left it in the car. Why is Keyshawn lying and telling y'all that his friend, Sebastian, brought his phone? Saw the pictures with the pocket. Now he knows the whole case. He saw the discovery like they're saying my client did. He sees everything.
Sustained.
This guy knows what's going on. He's told everything and shown everything. He knows what's happening. It's common sense. Why is he saying he has his phone with him? Because he knows y'all going to see pictures or saw pictures with that pointy thing in there that Vandalin says, no way, that's a gun. At one point, I even think she said, when I was showing you the picture, you got to be crazy or something like that to think that's a gun. Well, maybe I'm crazy, but I don't think I'm crazy on that point. It's possible that was a gun. It's a good chance it was a gun. You remember Dominique telling you that her phone messages wouldn't have mattered? Didn't happen. She got away with it, basically. Keyshawn told you the same thing, where he parked wouldn't have mattered. A lot of things wouldn't have mattered. They got caught. These are smart kids. These are smart young people. These are smart adults, whatever word you want to use. They fooled the cop, or she bought into their nonsense, didn't ask any more questions. I hate to say it, but she's a dummy. Vandalin, she didn't care. 10-minute interviews. I didn't arrest, and I'm being facetious, what Vandalin said. She was sitting right there. 5 hours. He deserved 50 hours. I stopped because it was getting late and tired. I'm sure y'all had enough. Could have went over and went double or triple that. I didn't arrest Dominique because on the 15th she told me that she erased messages. Yeah, she told her that day because she knew Keyshawn signed the consent, and now the gig is up. Now they're going to find out. She forgot. She probably sent it to Tyler. And plus, the months it took them to download everything, and who knows what they were doing or what she was requesting. Miscommunication between me and the other officer who does the phone. Miscommunication. She had the password from Tyler Robinson. Why is she hiding that? Because I'm asking over and over for it. Takes 2 years to do it. Is that fair? She was trying to get away with not doing that too. Miscommunication. It's ridiculous. Things that went on here. It's not fair. It's not showing you the truth. It's not letting you even get to even close to being the truth. A good investigator, whether they did it that night or later on, will go back to the 40th and Broadway. Take a look. Take an hour, half hour. Put a drone up there. The sheriff's office got everything. Millions and millions of dollars. Taxpayers' money. Thousands of police officers working for them. West Palm would help. Not a single person looked. Then you would know. Did they dump it there? Did they not dump anything? Can't tell you. You'll never know. Did they come back and get what they threw out? Why didn't Tyler shoot back over and over? He'd shoot back. Probably forgot to put a bullet in the head, in the chamber. Can't shoot a gun. That was some of the testimony from the expert, unless there's a bullet in the chamber. You know, some of y'all know shoot guns. You all know this. If you try to pull the trigger, nothing's going to happen. My client wouldn't know that if someone's pointing a gun at him. That's the testimony. The gun was found without a bullet in the chamber. He pulls it out. Maybe he took the bullet out and threw it away. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. So many unanswered questions here. It's not Travis Rudolph's fault there's unanswered questions. The government took the job of prosecuting him and saying he's guilty, so they have to prove it. And y'all agreed to well and truly try the case against the state of Florida versus Travis Rudolph. Why didn't they treat their witnesses like they treated mine? Why did I have to get up there and start vigorously cross-examining them, arguing and fighting with these people until I was exhausted? Ms. Perlette was exhausted fighting with them. Is that fair? They represent the people of the state of Florida. Not winning at all cost. It's not winning at all. Nobody wins in this case. Everybody lost. There should be more people on trial in this case, not my client. And that'll never happen because nobody cares. But your decision is to decide whether or not Mr. Rudolph is guilty based on the evidence. That's it. No one's going to ask you, did Vandalin do a good job? Did anyone commit perjury? Did anyone tamper with evidence, a 30-year felony? Anyone carrying a concealed firearm, Tyler, in his pocket, never get charged? Is this what we're about? Is this the court system that you get a free ride? I'm a homicide detective. I don't worry about those things. Is that really fair? 30-year felony, a 5-year felony, multiple other felonies? Forget about conspiracy to commit murder. Terroristic threats that you're sending to your brother and your brother sending back to you. Who knows what these people were saying to each other? We can't hear their phone calls. Who knows what she erased? The calls, the text. How come they don't take the phone from her that day? Why not? What's going on here? Dominique Jones is like Hurricane Andrew. I hate to use this silly analogy, but she is. Almost 31 years ago, Hurricane Andrew hit down in Miami and Homestead. And yeah, we saw the hurricane coming. I don't know if y'all lived in Florida back then, but people who lived here knew it was coming, but nobody thought it was going to hit that bad, and it wasn't that strong. No one took it for real. Like Mr. Rudolph didn't take it for real. Hindsight's 20/20. He should have. He should have. No one in his family did. No one wanted to believe it from the girl they loved. A mom treated her like a daughter. And Keyshawn and Tyler and Sebastian and Chris, they joined this hurricane. They were little tornadoes in there and joined it. Easy to prove the cases against them, all the things they did, but they're not on trial. I'm just talking about it because they get a free ride for everything they did. All in the effort to convict Mr. Rudolph and not let you really know the truth about what happened here by not looking for evidence, by not testing evidence, by not questioning people properly. And the hurricane hit his house, and he didn't see it coming. He's guilty of not being smart with women. Whether he was cheating on his girlfriend or not, no one deserves to get whacked or beat up by 4 guys. Even 1 guy. It's not fair. It's not their business. It's like a Sopranos episode. You go get your family, your brothers, and go whack somebody, you go beat them up, or kill them. Is that fair? Is that what? Are these innocent guys? Are they heroes? That's what you call a hero? People that go thugs, 4 guys, and where I'm from, you call them hoodlums. 1 guy's a vigilante. You bring 4 guys, it's a gang. Or a posse, as the state used that word. Posse, whatever word you want to use. That's scary stuff. Detective Annalyn, anyone ever come to your house at midnight with 4 guys? Thank God, no. She said that. Probably the only truthful thing she said, because she didn't realize why I was asking it. Ask multiple officers, if someone's pointing a gun at you, can you tell it's loaded? No. You're going to shoot until you neutralize the force, until it's over. And they're trained. Yeah, I'm going to shoot. I'm not waiting to get shot first. It's common sense. If you see someone pointing a gun at you, you don't wait to get shot. You don't turn your back and run home like the state would want you to do. They wouldn't prosecute them for shooting my client anyway because they got a free ride. Be a dead man and be funerals and you read a little obituary, that's the end of it. You never know. Thank God he's here. He said he would do it again. God forbid he was put in the same situation. It's better to be tried by a jury than tried by these thugs. It's better, safer, be alive. He lost 2 years of his life waiting for this. Prosecutor says, oh, Mr. Sebastian's poor family. Yeah, I feel sorry for them. They have nothing to do with this case. It's horrible that a mother lost a son. When you find out the circumstances, it's also horrible that Mrs. Rudolph was terrorized by the gang of people that came there. This poor lady already lost her husband. She's so worried about security, she has a screen that I personally have never seen a screen in somebody's home, in their living room. She can't sleep at night, scared to death. And the state wants to beat her over and over and over by asking the same question. Why don't you call 911? I couldn't, I was terrified. It's a miracle this woman's even standing. It's a miracle. I'm not asking you to have sympathy for her, just trying to talk about the facts of this case. The real story about what happened and why she had all those cameras. She thought they were recording. Police have that. I don't have their video recorder. They're telling you it didn't work. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but according to them, it didn't. Hopefully they're being straight about that. We have Mr. Nash's videos that really don't show you any details. And you can also see the oil slick. The car went forward first. It clearly did. Take a look at these pictures. You'll see it. How in the world with this evidence and not testing anything and not questioning people properly, why didn't Detective Vandeling go and talk to Tyler Robinson's brother and friend that were at the house to find out what these guys were talking about? She knew about that. Never even went there. Silly, ridiculous already. Why not even attempt to do anything? I don't do something unless I know it's there. That is the most absurd statement I've ever heard in a courtroom. I've heard hundreds of people lie in a courtroom, but I've never heard a cop say that.
All right, sustain.
Never heard somebody say that, ever, ever, ever. I don't search unless I know it's there.
That was stupid.
They didn't arrest Dominique because she admitted she did tamper with evidence, a 30-year felony potentially. Well, if somebody walks in and says they committed murder, or attempted murder, or aggravated assault, and they confess to it, they're going to jail. Not this girl. I think she's working with them, trying to prove that they're telling the truth instead of being cold and neutral like she claims she is. Our investigation starts when the arrest is made. That's baloney. That didn't happen. Never started. Put the handcuffs on him. You got all those shots. He's got to be guilty. I don't want to hear from his mom. I don't want to hear from anybody different than what I already did. I did enough. I did a good investigation. She told you that. She really believes that, or she's lying again. She knows she didn't do a good investigation. She can't even admit she made a single mistake. Not one mistake. I made plenty of mistakes during this trial. I'm not the best speaker. I made mistakes in questioning people, and I apologize. Hey, I'm sorry. You're right. That answer, you're right. We're all human. The law on justifiable use or threatened use of deadly force in Florida, we'll talk about that in a second, but the burden of proof, and this is a long instruction, comes down to what the state has to prove is Travis Rudolph does not have the burden. This is on page 10 of your instructions. Travis does not have the burden of proving he was justified. It's not his job to do that. It's not my job to do that. And you all agreed to this in jury selection, and this is the law that you all agreed to follow. This is on the second paragraph down, indented paragraph, where it starts with Travis Rudolph does not have the burden of proving he was justified. In using or threatening to use deadly force. You don't even get the first-degree murder. You don't get the aggravated assault. You don't get to any of the lessers if he was justified in using self-defense, or you don't know beyond a reasonable doubt that he was justified. Then you don't even go to the instructions on murder, second-degree murder, attempted murder, because it's a defense to every single one of those charges. Justifiable use of deadly force. Told you from opening statement, Travis Rudolph did kill Sebastian Jean Jacques and did wound Tyler Robinson and did shoot at the other men. It's no secret. The question is why. So he doesn't have to prove. Travis does not have to prove, or the defense doesn't have to prove, doesn't have the burden of proving he was justified in using or threatening to use deadly force. Instead, for you to find the defendant guilty, which is Travis Rudolph, the state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant was not justified in using or threatening to use deadly force, just like we talked in jury selection. It really boils down to this. That's why I wasted so much time, but it really wasn't a waste, as you can see now, because this is the heart of the question. There's no way any reasonable person at this point could say, with this evidence, beyond all reasonable doubt, he was definitely not using self-defense. There's no way anybody can say that in this case. Why? Because you don't have all the evidence. You have nothing other than a couple of videos which show what they show. And you hear the gunshots. There's never been in dispute, ever. It's not in dispute. But you can't see who's holding a gun and who's not holding a gun. You don't even know if Tyler Robinson was in the car. You heard the bullets ricocheted all around the car. Little pellets come out, and according to the medical examiner, they break up. You don't even know what was in his body. They didn't even show that to you. You don't know where he got shot. There's no blood in the back seat. How's that possible if he's laying on his friend, which is the first time he ever made that statement, as you heard in this courtroom? Slow says he wasn't even sure he got in the car. You can't tell from that video. I remember some cross-examination of Travis Rudolph yesterday where the prosecutor's showing him a videotape saying there's one guy already in the car. That's ridiculous. The guy was pressing the button to open up the door, so of course the lights go on. You can't see who got in which door. Vanillin may have to over and over and over. She's the lead detective. Who got in what door? I didn't understand what she said. Double talk. Couldn't tell you. Physical evidence doesn't tell you. You see, and I don't know if you saw it in this courtroom, but you do see Tyler Robinson going like this. He doesn't fall down. No one checks the DNA. How do you know it wasn't Travis's DNA anywhere? How do you know it wasn't Mr. Rudolph, Dower Rudolph's DNA anywhere? Whose DNA's on that car? How did it get there? Some of the people, Detective Allen, didn't even remember there was blood on the outside of the car, but the crime scene people did. But no one checked it. Not important. Do not ask. So you found out that Keyshawn texted his sister first. That Travis is a dead man walking. He wants you to believe, well, I did it to satisfy her, make her feel better. He did. He said it was in response. That's not even true. He texted her first. Travis is a dead man walking. Is this a person who's going to go over and talk to somebody? With his 4 best friends, buddies? They all carry guns. Why is Chris Lowe trying on, according to him, not this day, but why is he checking his friend Keyshawn's gun in his pocket to see how it fits? Who carries guns in pockets? It's foolish. It's dangerous. Sounds like gangsters do this. Guns in pockets. He said he tried it on. Well, he didn't try it on, but he put the gun in his pocket to see how it fit. Before this case. What's the purpose of that? You get glimpses of these people. Glimpses of what's going on. You'll never get the full story because they're using all kind of social media calling where there's no tracking. FaceTime, there's no tracking. You can't hear or see what they're saying. You look up it online, you'll see this. It's easy to figure out. These young people know what's going on today. I don't even understand what Travis is talking about the dating stuff, about girlfriend, not girlfriend. I don't understand these terms. When I was younger, you're dating someone, you're going steady. Today, the terms are completely different. But either way, you could tell this is a battered man. He really is. His neighbor saw it. He's always getting hit, and he stands there like this. He had no clue that someone didn't have a right to hit him. That's sad. He really didn't know. He's a mild-mannered guy. You saw it. If I'm up there and someone's accusing me of stuff, I'll be fighting back. He doesn't even yell. Doesn't raise his voice. He's calm. That's who Travis Rudolph is. I'm not asking you to find him guilty or not guilty because he's a football player, but certainly that's important. This girl was looking for a payday. I'm a realtor. Ms. Perlette, have you sold anything? Is what she asked. I rented one apartment. COVID, I had nothing. I pay for everything. I'm a self-supporting woman. Then when she got pressed, but my mom is a medical assistant. That's a self-supporting woman. This is a woman who's a gold digger, who's hoping Travis gets back in the NFL. She took advantage of him. He was too dumb to see it, like most men. Not thinking with his right head. I hate to say that, but that's the truth. She's a gold digger. Plastic surgery. You already got a boyfriend. You need plastic surgery? I'm mad. The last 30 days, I haven't seen him. I'm getting angry. I don't trust him. He's in Miami. Trying to get back into he had a contract to play in the CFL, the Canadian Football League, the following month after this happened. Hoping to get back in the NFL, where as many friends as you heard who are major players. Didn't bring their names out here to impress anyone. Didn't even mention one of their names. That's the reason why he carries a gun also. It's around wealthy people or targets. It's not a joke. It's a dangerous community we live in. It's a dangerous country, unfortunately. None of those guns are illegal that he has. They're perfectly legal. You heard that from the testimony over and over. The drum of 100 sounds crazy, but that's legal. You can have 100 of them. You can have 50 of them, I asked the witnesses. Nothing illegal. He's trained. He has a concealed weapons permit. He's worried about security for his mom. She's worried about security. He's worried about security for himself and his friends. That's the truth. That's what's going on here. You got a glimpse of it. A glimpse. Not just like the prosecutor wanted you in jury selection talking about, well, if there's a flag over here, it's got to be an American flag. We don't need to open it or anything like that. And then I gave you the silly example. What if the court administrator said, well, we had no money for COVID, we're buying flags from China, and they put little symbols on there, and that was a trial. You really want to know the truth. If someone's on trial for anything, or flags on trial, you want to unfold it. Why would you put blinders on like they do? Remember watching the Kentucky Derby recently? Some of the horses have blinders. They can't see the other horses because they don't want them to get off track. They want them to just go straight. Who has blinders on in this case? Who? Who has the blinders on? Starts with the producer of this investigation, Detective Vanderlyn. And hopefully it ends here in this courtroom. Well, how do you prove right now, how does the state prove to you, no matter how many times they show you those videos and play those gunshots and show you the autopsy photos and show you Tyler Robinson's injuries? And forget about all the witnesses. No one mentioned them to you. No one mentioned, you heard. I'm not even going to go through all this. This will take me an hour or two. Talk about all the nonsense that these people said and how they acted. You saw the defense witnesses. Did anyone act like that? Anyone playing games? I don't understand the question. Anyone prior commit perjury and say, I didn't remember? It's ridiculous. You saw that. You heard it. We trust all of you. That's why we put you all here together, that you use your common sense. That's something you should consider, how the witnesses acted, how they answered questions. Those are things that are important for you as jurors, and we all talked about that in jury selection too. How do you judge if someone's telling you the truth? I asked you all that question. How do you know who's being straight? What if they gave a prior inconsistent statement? Got to be shocked to learn that someone lied over and over at a hearing and in front of the same judge in a courtroom saying, I don't remember a thing. Maybe he doesn't want to get arrested again, so now he's on the team. The first responding officer, the guy wearing the mask. Y'all remember him? Probably the most credible I don't even know the right word, the most credible independent witness there is in this case. And he's wearing a mask. You can't even see his face or his eyes to judge his credibility, but you don't need to because you heard the intensity. I'm not going to say his name because you know why he's wearing the mask, but Officer P. You saw the intensity of how he was trying to save the guy. And he was so hyped up by saying, I was reliving the moment as he was talking. I'm sure you were too. And I felt my own pulse possibly. I was trying to make sure he was alive. That guy cared. He cared. That's what we needed on this case to find out more about what happened or how it happened, where it happened, when it happened, who did what, who said what. Go back and question people. But he said something very important. Besides trying to save this young man's life. Remember what he said? He said basically that as he drove by going northbound, he didn't see the car. Then he made a U-turn because he knew it was at 40th and Broadway. He passed by again and sees the reflection of his lights on two I forgot the words, some like figures in the background. They weren't waving him down. Put that in his report. He testified to. He found that very unusual. What are they out of the car? What are they doing by the fence area? And not until he goes in there and says, y'all need police help. And they say, oh, my friend shot. He said, if it was me, I'd be out there jumping up and down. Hey, come get me. That's what he said. He was animated. That should tip off Detective Vanderlyn. There's something amiss here. Your first officer there. These guys were acting weird. What's going on? What are they doing there at the gate? Why not check? I think you know the answer by now. It was not winning at all costs. Everyone lost here. Everyone. No matter what your verdict is. But maybe something will come out, something positive. Maybe next time they'll do a better investigation. Maybe next time they'll arrest the right people. Maybe Vanna will get demoted and sent back to the academy. Do her job properly. Hopefully something good comes out of this. When you weigh the evidence, one of the things you use is your common sense. Y'all have a lot more common sense combined than I'll ever have, so that's easy. Use your common sense. You should consider what the witnesses said, and when you consider that, how did they act? You saw how they acted. Tyler Robinson asking me if I need a potty break? You got a weak bladder, Mark. Calling me Mark. Not a game. He doesn't care what y'all think. Of course he cares what you think. That's why he's tailoring his testimony to you. People who say they don't care what you think really care what you think. Why do you have to say that? Why is Dominique saying, I'm really smart, just like my brother? No, she's conniving. She's dangerous. She's not smart. Every time she gets caught, she has no choice but to say, yeah, I did do it. It's like Tyler Robinson. Yeah, a couple of days later, they find the gun. It's either him or Keyshawn, because it's going to come back to the gun store. It's Keyshawn. And Keyshawn don't want y'all to think he had a gun with him. Look at that video if you want. If you need to do it, look at it again. You'll see him rubbing his right pocket. What's he doing rubbing his pocket? Before anyone came out of the house, he's moving the gun. Why is Chris Lowe in the background lifting up his pants? You see it. He's even on the pictures I have here that I blew up. He's lifting up his pants because he's wearing athletic pants. The gun is weighted down and his pants are falling down. All consistent with having guns. Why didn't they pull the guns out? They saw the cameras. Keyshawn said, no, I didn't pass the house. I drove and turned down Redwood. I never passed the house, but his two buddies said they passed the house. They drove right by it. They saw the cameras. Chris Lowe even said when I was outside, I saw the cameras there. That's why I stood back. Tyler Robinson was the hothead. He couldn't control himself. State's wrong. Said that the only person said that Mr. Robinson pulled a gun out was my client. That's not true. Travis Rudolph told you he pulled a gun out on him also on the side of the house. He's a dangerous man. They're all dangerous men. Principal theory is if they were committing crimes, they're all equally guilty. They're not on trial here, but why it's important is for you all to understand the principal theory. It's basically like the Three Musketeers. Here we got the four. One for all and all for one. That if one guy, like the prosecutor told you, is the getaway driver, and the other guy goes into the 7-Eleven to rob the store and he kills the store owner, they're both guilty of murder. Same thing in this case, the reverse. If these four guys came there to do what they were going to do, and you all know probably what they were going to do, most likely, definitely, despite what they have told you, then they're all equally guilty. And then, if they're guilty of ag assault, any felony, ag assault pointing a gun, any one of them, not two, not three or four, just one of them, they're all equally guilty of doing that. And then Mr. Rudolph had a right to shoot all of them because they're all together in this. They caused this. Blaming my client for coming out without his shirt? That was an insinuation the government had. He was sleeping. It's his house. So he came out to start a fight? His own brother was so angry. Cursing at him and screaming. You saw a glimpse on the video. What are you doing with this woman? Storms out of the house. My own neighbor telling the brother, tell your brother, Travis, it's the wrong woman. Sick and tired of hearing this nonsense. When DJ came home, he wasn't interested in this. He was working all day, trying to help his mom. He's a farmer boy. That's who DJ is. You heard that. He's got chickens, a potbelly pig. He's got all kind of bearded dragon, according to his mom. She thought it was an alligator. But whatever. This guy loves animals more than people. He's a homebody. He stays in his room. That's what he does, and he works. And he's sacrificing his life for his mama. That's who Darryl Rudolph is. He wants to be in Alabama with his horses and growing crops. Not a violent young man. Says Rudolph should be proud. She raised two very well-mannered sons. He saw that. And he's sacrificing for his own mom to be with her. And that's admirable. He did nothing wrong. He's a victim in this case. He's a total victim. He's not involved in the relationship. He's not involved in any of this nonsense, what's going on between Travis and this young lady, Hurricane Dominique. He's not involved in this. Comes home from work, and what happens? Oh my God, all hell broke loose when she opened up his phone. I didn't bring it to his phone. I had the password. He gave it to me. Who cares? He went to his phone. Come on. You didn't trust him. She lost her payday. She was hoping to win the lottery. She probably promised her brothers. Remember that text from Tyler? Hey, I love you so much. I got you. Probably promised them when Travis makes 20, 30 million bucks, I'm going to share it with you guys. Not anymore. Just got thrown out of the house. You know it's the end of the relationship. Tries to break the windows. He hits him with a liquor bottle, breaks his phone. Oh, how come the police didn't show you the phone? Why don't they open the phone and charge it up and show you now? I guarantee it doesn't work. What's the difference? Does it really matter? Trying to insinuate he took pictures of himself? That was vandalism. He took his own photographs of his injuries. Why didn't you blow them up so they can see him? I don't want to do that. Why didn't you do that? And then it really comes out, well, he didn't blow him up. His phone was broken and his sister took him. And the police still have his phone, so there was no way for us to get him out of that phone. Had to come from the sister. But they're trying to leave you with a different impression about everything in this case. Everything, and that's not fair. Be straight. You all know that. Was the witness honest and straightforward in answering the questions? I don't think so. Most of them did not. Not the civilians. Not at all. The witness have some interest in how the case should be decided. Of course. Everyone did in this case. They don't want to be charged with anything. They're on their team. You even see the way the officers slant their testimony a little bit. You saw that. You saw that with several of the police officers. Not all. Not the firearms expert, not the first witness, not several of the West Palm officers until they were shown that picture. And then, oh, it looks like a gun, but I don't want to say it. But he had to say it. Any pressure been used on the witness to affect the truth? Well, coming into a courtroom, being forced, I was escorted by two police officers. They didn't put handcuffs on me. That's being forced. And then you lie about everything. Now you're afraid you're going to come in today. You better say what you need to say. Because you could be arrested again. You could be charged with perjury. You could be charged for lying and impeding an investigation. How do they have the nerve to give you a witness here? He's perjured himself over and over and over. And come in here and tell you he's telling the truth. It's not possible to know that. You would think the opposite. The actual opposite. Mr. Rudolph pled guilty, and it's in the instruction on page 2. The defendant is not required to present evidence or prove anything. We're not. We did more work than this investigator did in this case. Way more work to figure out what's going on. Deposition in June. I'm trying to find out where the 911 tape is. You heard that. Where's the 911 tape? Several months after this happened. Where is it? I don't know. Didn't get it until November. After I've already questioned her. Why is Chris Lowe telling you he made the call on the way out? Then you find out it really isn't. Maybe he's lying, maybe he's mistaken. Maybe there's another call. I don't know. Where's proof they even put it on the GPS? You would have took Chris Lowe's phone, you would see that. I submit they were trying to hide evidence before they were even going to the hospital. And if you would have Chris Lowe's phone, you would know what was said and what was done and whether or not he really did GPS the hospital. Of course he could have missed the hospital. under the strain of trying to get away from what you just caused, but certainly still traumatic. Could have passed the hospital. Well, why not get his phone? Then I could at least show y'all if he really did do that. You'd see it for yourself. Did he GPS the hospital or not? If he didn't, you'd have another question. Why are you not GPS in the hospital? Would reaffirm they're probably dumping stuff. Have a dive team. Check the waterway. Do anything. Not one thing was done. Detective Agent McMichael with the dog. If you would have asked to go down the path of the car went, could you go? Of course. Wasn't asked. Why don't you go back to 40th and Broadway? Did they ask you to go? Did you even know about it? No. No one even told him. Bring the dog. Dog's phenomenal in finding ammunition. You heard he's great. Passed all his tests according to the agent. We didn't want to find any more guns. Vandalin had enough. Because now she's getting nervous. She made a false arrest. He's not looking into this. Doesn't want you to know the truth. The jury. Eventually, she knew this case would come to a jury, and she was trying to hide everything. Couldn't even get a 911 tape right. Couldn't even get the medical records. Took her 2 years to do that. Couldn't get Tyler's phone checked for a couple of years. Nothing was done right. It's hide everything. Hide the ball. She knows that I would get a copy of the statements that her alleged victims made. Give me 10 minutes to find out what they have to say. Come on. It's either incompetent or you're intentionally trying to hide something. Well, the judge read to you what reasonable doubt is. Use your common sense. Follow the directions. Follow the law. That's all we're asking you to do. It's all we've asked you from the beginning. There's no questions here at all about whether the gun's in the pocket. Was there a gun in his hand? But what if there was? $600 an hour. It's expensive. I wonder how many thousands and hundreds of thousands they spend on this case, the state, of your money, of the taxpayers' money, my money. Mr. Rudolph has to pay a couple of $1,000 to hire an expert because I can't call anyone up who for the police because they don't work for me. I'm not a prosecutor. I'm not wearing a badge like they are, like the police do. So, yeah, I have to hire someone. So you hear a guy who went to Harvard, was a medical examiner, the head medical examiner in Palm Beach County with so much experience, and they're making fun of him how much money he makes and want to know every detail. How obnoxious is that? He's entitled to get paid. I only brought out the $500 that their medical examiner charged me to talk to me to show you how unfair that is. He didn't charge the prosecutors to talk to him, but I got to pay. Is that fair? I don't make the rules. That's what he said. I don't make the rules. He doesn't know anything about having a death grip. He had zero experience. He doesn't even know anything about guns. He said he barely has any knowledge about guns. So, of course, I have to hire someone who's reputable, who has a good background, who went to one of the best schools in America, who has tons of experience on both sides, being a former medical examiner, and now he's a private consultant and a family doctor. He didn't come in here and say, yeah, he definitely had a gun in his hand. He could have. He didn't say that. That's consistent with a gun. Well, could have been nothing? Well, it's possible. Anything's possible. But he said it was consistent. That's his testimony. That's all I wanted y'all to see. That it's possible. A good chance. The questions that were never asked or answered by the police. So that's why we did that. You look at that. You've been around this field, you would look at that and know in 2 seconds there's a good chance he had a gun. Maybe it was something else. What else could it have been? There was nothing in his hand. They want you to believe it was a spinal cord injury. There's no evidence of that at all. Dr. Maracchini didn't say that at all. I don't remember their doctor saying it, but if y'all remember that, that's fine. But he said it could have been a ball. Remember that? Could have been a ball, could have been a phone. Why would anyone get rid of a ball if it was in his hand? Still be in his hand when the police got there. Sebastian's hand. Why would anyone get rid of a phone if it was in his hand? You know it wasn't the phone in the door. I have to work hard on that one too. Where's your phone, Tyler? Eventually, he admitted, I showed him the pictures, and it had that fancy design on it. He had some designer, and had shattered by a bullet that went through a door. And there was no blood or hair or fiber on it, according to all the witnesses. So not consistent with any reason why Sebastian would be holding it. Did anyone have your password? How about Keyshawn? Nope. How about Chris? Nope, for your phone. Last question was, how about Sebastian? Well, maybe he broke into it. Come on. It's ridiculous. Maybe he broke into it. He wasn't holding his phone. He didn't know what to say. He knew there was a problem with that, just like he knew there was a problem with him dumping his gun. And then the gig is up when they find it. He's changing and swaying his testimony to try to convince you. Well, maybe my friend did have my phone, but you know he didn't, because there was nothing on it to prove it at all. No blood, no hair, no fiber, nothing. Zero. But why would anyone take a ball and hide it? Was it in the car? There was nothing in the front seat consistent with what he would have had in his hand. These gangsters would take guns and try to hide them. Shell casings, anything that would show they're guilty, just like erasing phones. That's who they are. That's who these people are. Erase text messages. Unfortunately for them, unfortunately for you all, you got to see Tyler's phone that was in the car. It took me 2 years to see it, but you got to see it in this trial. And Keyshawn's phone was stuck in the car, so they couldn't erase things. Maybe from the cloud they could. I don't know enough about that. But you saw some of the most important messages. Dead man walking. Travis is a dead. I've never heard that, ever. Except maybe in a movie. Maybe you all have. It's not hyperbole. I don't know what hyperbole is. I have to go look it up. I was confused what that even meant. But you all know what that means. Travis is a dead man walking. You all know what that means. These are glimpses of what Travis faced that night, and his brother, and his mom. These are the people that he had to interact with. This isn't just what you see on the video. This is everything, those 8-10 minutes of terror. That bam, 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 like you heard DJ knock on the desk here. He judged his credibility. This guy wasn't fighting with any of the lawyers or me. He answered the best of his ability. And there are all these prior statements he made under oath that were different. You didn't hear it from Mama either. You didn't hear it from Travis either. These witnesses did the best of their ability and told you what they believed happened. Their witnesses, their civilians, all of them, every last one of them was fighting tooth and nail, playing word games, asking me to repeat the questions, asking Ms. Perlette to repeat the questions when they knew they couldn't answer them. And then they didn't admit something until they were caught in deposition. Then they would say, oh yeah, I did say that. You saw the characters of these people. You got glimpses, a little glimpse of who they are. What brother? Is this chivalrous? Brother and friends? This is chivalry? This is ridiculous. This is a hit. Are they going to kill him or beat him up severely? He's got scars on his body. That's serious bodily injury. It is. Why is Mr. Estes? State said he was the independent witness. Why in the world? Man who just retired, who built power plants, has a boat, trying to live in peace, likes his neighborhood, telling you that Travis is constantly arguing with his girlfriend. It's annoying. They're constantly fighting, and she's always hitting him, and he's there with his arms folded. That day, his best friend died. He wasn't in the mood for any of this nonsense, just like DJ wasn't. And once again, here he goes again. And then he hears the car leave. But then he's half asleep, he told you, or sleeping. I don't remember his exact words. It's around midnight. And here's slapping and punching and kicking. Doesn't see the whole thing. But he looks out. And he sees it's a really serious fight. I think I asked him, was some kind of serious fight, or did it look like someone could get seriously injured? He goes, someone's trying to whoop someone's ass. That's what he said. I think those were his words, actually. And he kept saying it was 3-on-1, 2-on-1. with the Rudolph brothers constantly. This is what he sees. He's not even outside. He's in the comfort of his own home, and he's scared to death. First time ever, he said he grabbed his gun, went into his bedroom. This happened fast. It's 8 minutes, roughly, 8, 9 minutes of what happened. Go in your bedroom for a minute or two, you're going to miss a lot. Unfortunately, the cameras, you didn't get to see the cameras because you would have saw all this, unfortunately. I hope to God those cameras really didn't work, that they're telling you the truth. But either way, you don't have them. We can't speculate on what really did or didn't. The evidence is they didn't work, so we'll have to live with that. He goes and grabs his gun. He's not involved. No one's at his house. He's not outside helping. Why does he get his own gun? That's really important. Maybe it's not. Hey, do whatever you think is right, but why does he grab his own gun and then put the clip in it and a bullet in the chamber? And he knows how to use guns. He's a hunter. He's got plenty of guns. He knows how to shoot them. Plenty of practice. Why does he grab his own gun? He's not even involved in this in any way, shape, or form. He's annoyed. He just had one of the worst days of his life with his best friend passing. Grabs his gun in case it came to his yard. Travis is unreasonable for grabbing his gun, and he's actually getting the crap beat out of him and his brother, and worried about his mom, who no one's paying attention to. And he has a gun pointed at him. And if he didn't have a gun pointed at him, he could have came out with his gun. Shouldn't have came out, but unfortunately, Daryl just reacted. As you see, he does react, unfortunately. Even when he talks to you, his answers are quick. He's not sitting there formulating his answer. Not a guy who's thinking, oh, what do I say about that? Can you repeat that question? I don't understand it, so I come up with a better answer. He talks right from his heart. They even asked him about the silly question. It wasn't silly, but it really happened, about getting hit in the head with the Patron bottle. Can you describe how that happened? And he said, yeah, it was like the whack-a-mole game at Chuck E. Cheese. He's not a guy thinking about his answers. He's quick. That's what he thought. That's the game where you sit there and have a mallet, and the kids' game, and these little things come up and you bang them down real hard. That was what he's trying to express to you what he saw this girl do to his brother. That's all. This isn't a guy trying to formulate a story or figure out how to make it better. Linda Rudolph, completely different than the state's witnesses. She could have easily come in here and tell y'all, I saw guns. I saw them pointing guns. I saw the guy without the shirt pointing a gun at both my sons, like they both tested. She didn't say that. She didn't see that. She was so flabbergasted and so out of her mind at what she was seeing, she couldn't even open her phone. She was in panic mode. Panic mode. Is that hard to believe? Is that reasonable? Mr. Estes didn't even see Travis go in the house. He only went in the house when he saw Tyler pulling out the gun. And that's when he realized, I should have came out with my gun, and goes back and gets it. So if he's this killer, this crazy psychopath like the state wants you to believe, why doesn't he just come out of the house? Why isn't he just sitting there in the window open, knowing that these girls sending their brothers over, his girlfriend sending the brothers over, and just waiting, and just pop them off one at a time as they come up to his house? Could have done that. Could have hidden in the bushes. Didn't do that. He showed so much restraint, more than most people, and he looks up there at the camera, at the screen in his mom's house. He thinks he sees the brother, little bro that he has in his phone. The kind of guy he is, he puts the gun down. I'm going to mediate this. I'm going to calm it down. They're not going to do anything in front of my mom. Big mistake, but he did, unfortunately. He even came out with the gun. The Bandolin would have arrested him and charged him with murder if he would have shot someone while they're trying to kill him. She didn't care. You shoot somebody, you're going to jail. That's the evidence that I see. I don't care about nothing else. I care if you're guilty or not guilty. I'm charging you. Either way, he loses. But anyway, at least he's here and he's alive. So he puts the gun down. That shows a lot of restraint, more than most people could do. Way more. Knowing that it's now coming to fruition. Dominique calls mom And mom is so worried from Bible study and watching videos with her twin sister that she calls her and tells her, I'm sending over to F up your son or kill your son. And then she texts her back and she says, all I'm going to tell you is that and that's the text we have. Picked the wrong one. You picked the wrong one. Now, well, we know that now. 100% he picked the wrong one. She was Tony Soprano. She ran this gang that night. She gets her brothers to go do her dirty work. Really is like an episode of The Sopranos or a mobster movie. It's hard to believe. If you weren't in this courtroom, you wouldn't believe it if I told you this story as my neighbor. But you got to see it. They don't mean anything, those text messages. Hyperbole. Shoot his shit up. Well, that means to shoot everything in the house but people. That's what she told you. It's ridiculous. It's silly. You know what she meant. This is what Travis is dealing with. This is what DJ is dealing with. This is what the mom's dealing with. Look at the credibility of all these people. Watch the videos 1,000 more times. Who cares? You'll never, ever see, ever, unfortunately, what really happened. Why is there an oil slick that goes forward? The car went backwards. Seen them explain that one. Maybe the video is on such a weird angle, you can't really see what's happening. DJ's telling you it's not him. When he testified, the prosecutor's showing him the video, and there's a guy walking. That's not me. Maybe that's Hack. Who's Hack? Who's Hackshaw? Why is he getting texted the address of 550 Teak Drive? Their friend. Tyler's friend. Keyshawn's friend. Why are they texting him? Why doesn't the investigator go do an investigation on that? Why wait 2 years? Get that phone sooner. Go get Hack's phone. Find out where he was. You can triangulate it, you heard. You can tell where that person was. Go do a full investigation. Was there more people walking around that neighborhood? How'd Travis's car get broken? The window. Vandalin didn't know. She's the lead investigator. I don't know. Both the Rudolph brothers told you we didn't see her break the window. She left. Did she come back with her brothers, her friends, and do it? She said she didn't remember. That's what Miss Perlette asked her. When did you do it? I don't know. Could have checked her phone. Find out where she was at any given moment. They didn't do that. Maybe she was there giving directions around the corner. We'll never know. But she admitted for the first time ever she broke the window. Is that true? We don't know. Is it Hack? Is it somebody else who showed up? Is it a fifth or sixth guy? I remember when I was a young kid in kindergarten, first grade, and stuff like that. I remember there was three monkeys with see no evil and hear no evil and speak no evil. I don't know what we have here. Don't look. Don't talk. I don't want to know anything. How do you direct a crime scene people who are, some of them are very experienced? They know what they're doing. Why not direct them to go do their job? They're waiting for you as the lead detective. I wasn't asked. I wasn't asked. I wasn't asked. Defense submits that this should be a 5-minute verdict. Not asking you to say, go back there and say anything but the truth. Based on what you heard and saw in this courtroom, that's it. You're limited to that, what you have. That's it, what you were given. 100 conflicts, there's 100 reasonable doubts here. There's a lack of evidence everywhere. But most importantly, I urge you all to take a vote. Did they prove, beyond a reasonable doubt, that Mr. Rudolph was not acting in self-defense? Did they prove that? That's what this boils down to. And if they didn't, the case is over. It's not guilty. Better luck next time. You didn't prove it to me. And then whenever you feel about what happened, didn't happen, who should be charged, who shouldn't be charged, you can talk about it outside the courthouse. But in this case here, the only question you're asked is, really, was he acting in self-defense? Did they prove he was not? And I submit there's no possible way you can say yes, beyond all reasonable doubt in your heart of hearts, that he was not. And if y'all agree on that, the case is over. You don't go to first, second, manslaughter, because he's not guilty of a crime at all. He's not. Maybe he's not good enough. Possibly he's not good enough. He's not. This man was acting in self-defense. He defended his brother, defended himself. I'm not going to belabor the point. I'm not going to go through every photo. I can stand up here for hours and talk to you. It's ridiculous. You heard it all. You all remember this case. And they cannot answer that question in the affirmative that they proved beyond all reasonable doubt that he was not acting in self-defense. So justice calls for a not guilty verdict. Send a message in a quick verdict.
Sustained.
It should be a quick verdict because you don't have the evidence. You'll never have the evidence, and you all know why now. Thank you very much.
Bam. I love that closing. I think that's the fourth time I've actually heard it or listened to it. It's it's incredible. That was amazing. I'm excited that we got to rewatch it together to get ready for our visitor on Monday. I'm excited, y'all. All right, so don't forget that tonight we have night court, and make sure you're at night court because we have another announcement tonight about that's going to be about Monday. So make sure you are in night court tonight. We do not have WTF this week, so tonight at night court is the last time we will see you before Monday morning. So make sure y'all are in night court tonight. It starts at 8:45, 7:45 Central. Also, any of the questions that y'all want me to ask, I'm having everybody email them to my email, brandy@brandychurchwell.com. Send everything to my email, and I'm going to pull all of the questions from my email Sunday night and then get them together. Anything that's asked, any of the questions that are on there like multiple times, I'll make sure that we put on there. I've got some questions of my own too, and so we'll see how long we can kidnap him for, make him hang out with us. So very cool. If you came in late and you missed all the stuff about Melly, our new trial that we're going to be watching, if you want to, we spent about an hour and 15 minutes, I guess, talking about that. You can watch that. And as soon as the last court paper that I saw said that trial was going to start on the 12th at 9 a.m., which, again, this is Eastern time because it's like Fort Lauderdale area. So it'll be 9 a.m. on Monday. If anything changes between now and then, I will post it and let y'all know. But that's the plan as of now. What we're going to do is hang out with Mark as long as we can. And then once we finish our Q&A with Mark, we will jump into the new trial and just play it and catch up. We'll start it from the beginning and we'll be a little bit behind, but we can play it on 1.25, skip the breaks, and then we'll catch up in no time. So I think that's it. So don't forget tonight, night court, 8:45, 7:45 Central. If you have not liked the video yet, please do so because it really helps. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss it. We are so excited. Yes, Cheryl G. I saw today where there was a report saying that they had finally wrapped up jury selection on that. So the papers that I saw I pulled from the court website said that it will be starting Monday morning. So unless something else changes, because Lord knows in the world of court, things change all the time. So I appreciate everything. And thanks for hanging out with me, y'all. I am going to go hang out for a few hours before we start night court. So I will see y'all in a few hours. Bye.